In this video, we're going to talk about developing improved glute function in multiplanar fashion. So multiplanar meaning 3 planes of motion, and those 3 planes of motion typically aren't always addressed, be it in a rehabilitative or a regular exercise training program, which can ultimately lead to problems with the hip, knee, even up into the back and the spine. So we always want to keep in mind that optimizing hip function should be a staple regardless of where you're at on this rehabilitation or more performance high-end training. That said, a couple of easy at-home to do exercises can be the variation of the one-legged RDL or what's called Romanian deadlift. You can utilize support. Obviously here in the gym, we use this barbell support. That support can come from chair, countertop, whatever you have access to. Or you can do it freestanding, especially if you're an athlete or an individual that participates in activities that require a lot of balance and well-coordinated function in your body. It might be ideal to progress these exercises to an unsupported variation. First exercise we're going to talk about, this variation of the single leg RDL, is what they would call a curtsy single leg RDL. So the way I'll demonstrate that is, rather than coming straight back towards, like if I was in the middle of the clock to like 6 o'clock, we'd be going towards maybe like 7 or 8 here with my right leg, and then up. And while we're focusing in on that, we want to make sure that as we're sitting back, that my hips aren't opening up in this fashion, and I'm keeping them nice and closed. I have my abdominal bracing set to help secure stability within the pelvis, within my spine. And then from there, we can work straight back. So the curtsy, we're going to work a little bit more of that lateral loading, internal rotation dominance of this hip, coming in and out of internal, external rotation. We can work more of our simple hip extension with the going straight back towards 6 o'clock. And then we can integrate in the hip airplane to help improve hip external rotation. So the hip airplane would then look like this, where we get back on in that single leg RDL stance, loaded this hip, keeping it closed, and then we're going to open up through the hip. We don't want to have the knee moving. We want to maintain the knee outward, and then external rotation up, and controlling it back down, keeping the hips closed throughout the entirety of the movement. So there we're working on rotational demands of the hip, as well as how clean we can get in and out of hip extension. This is something that we would perform on both sides. Now you can work through those individually. You know, we'll prescribe a certain number of repetition range, set range for all of those exercises, but you can work through those individually in sequence, or vary how you work through them between the curtsy RDL, single leg RDL, and then into the hip airplane. Right there, we're looking at improving dynamic hip function in rotation and extension.